Hey, I just want to say thank you guys again for being a part of our viewing family. It's been a great year. 2016 is going to be even better. We have some really big news to share with you. Pretty much discussed with folks here. It involves, of course, Noelle and our family. But anyhow, I just want to.
Oh, so the last several weeks have been kind of strange. Um, haven't really quite felt like myself. There's just been some things that have been going on and have been a little concerning, a little puzzling, and Herschel and I have talked about it, and our insurance, now it's the new year, but my insurance was switching over, and so not wanting to have to pay a copay for the old insurance and doing all that stuff. So we've just kind of been sorting through this together. And I had a terrible bout with sciatica. So it was last year around Thanksgiving, I had a terrible flare-up of sciatica. I never had it ever in my life. And I was like down, like I was walking like Neanderthal, like I could not stand upright. It was so bad. And so I ended up having to go into physical therapy, and I was on muscle relaxers, and it was awful, like the worst pain I've had. So I had a bout with that a couple of weeks ago, and that was a little a little alarming, and I was like, am I going to be able to walk? So I've also been having some migraines. So there's just been some things going on with my body, and I've been trying to figure out what is wrong. After doing some thinking and some ruling some things out, I eventually realized that I had to listen to my body and to see what my body was telling me. And apparently it was telling me this. That's right, folks. The Wilson family is growing. So, I am about 7 weeks into the journey of my third pregnancy, our third baby, and we are super, super excited. And it was planned as much as a baby can be planned. So I just wanted to be able to share kind of what's been going on and everything. And I will obviously be vlogging about my journey with the third pregnancy, with our third child. And I'm just going to put it all out there. I mean, not like put it all out there, but I'm going to share with you as much as I feel like, you all can be along for the journey for. So, anyway, so I had been on birth control, and we have been talking. Our youngest will be 3 in March, and so we've been talking that, we'd love to add to the family, and we were trying to figure out like what that looks like in terms of logistics and everything. And like, if you're a parent, you know that no amount of planning or strategizing or anything ever makes you prepared or ready for a baby, whether it's your first one, your second one, your third, your fourth, fifth, is whatever. No amount of planning or strategizing will ever make you feel prepared and ready. So we couldn't look at it from that standpoint. And so we just kind of said, okay, we're not super religious people. We don't go to church or anything like that, but we do have a solid belief in God, and God is a part of our lives, even if we don't go to church. So we're probably more spiritual in the sense of God than like religious, but God is a part of our life. We pray and everything like that. And so we just kind of left it up to, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? So I went off of birth control in September, and when I'm not on birth control, my periods are very, very irregular, to the point where there's been times where I've had like 2 periods in a month or a period that lasts for 2 weeks. It's awful. And so, you know, I wasn't quite sure what to expect with that. I've been on birth control for the last 3 years since Zara was born. So I figured it would take my body would take some time getting adjusted and getting used to being off the pill and everything and off of those hormones. And so I had a regular period in October, and then I had a regular period in November, although my period in November started to get longer. It was normally my periods were like 4 days, and then my period in November was like 7 days. So it was like, oh God, when is this going to end? So, you know, I figured it would take some time, and then December hit, and, you know, I used an app on my phone to kind of track that, to see like if that would help me kind of expect it, right? And so the day came and went of when I was supposed to get my period. I'm like, okay, so my body's finally getting used to being off the pill, and it's sort of regulating, if you will, itself. And so I didn't think much of it. And, you know, it went on and went on and went on. And then, like, there was a day, so it was December 16th, that I woke up and went to work and everything was fine. I had gone to lunch with friends from work, and then I got back from lunch, and about an hour later, I got struck with a terrible, like, debilitating migraine. And so I thought, like, was it the food that I ate? But I'm like, I've been there before. I always get the same thing when I go there. So I'm like, I don't think it was that. But it was so bad. Like, I was dizzy and like spinning and nauseous and everything. And I was like, oh God, this is awful. So I told my boss that I was going to go home. Like, you know, that I was getting hit with a migraine. And so she's awesome, and she was fully supportive and stuff. And so I left the office and I called Herschel and said, hey, I am coming home. I'm going to take the bus. I can't see straight. I feel nauseous. My head hurts so bad. And so then he was like, no. Like, I will come get you. So I went back to my office, and I actually like fell asleep in my office waiting on him to come get me. And then he came get me. He came and got me, and I came home and I slept like the whole evening. And it wasn't getting any better. Like, so we use this Chinese white flower oil, and the stuff is amazing, right? Normally when you have just a regular headache, you rub it on your temples or kind of wherever the pain is, and it generally makes the pain go away. It works better than Excedrin sometimes. So if you are ever in the market for a non-invasive or non-ingesting headache medicine, Chinese white flower oil is the bomb.com for headaches. But that, like, Herschel like massaged my head with that, and my headache basically laughed at it and said, "That's all you got?" So it was not going away, and it was not pleasant. And I was like, God, this is awful. So then I ended up taking the next day off of work too, because I was like, I can't focus. I couldn't read emails. Like, I couldn't see straight. So, but then I started to think about this debilitating headache, and I was like, oh my God, this period is going to be killer. Because mind you, I still had not gotten my period, and this was in December. And so I was like, my body is like finally regulating or dysregulating, and this is going to be a wretched month. And then it was like no other signs were pointing to me getting my period at that point. Like, I didn't have the body aches and stuff that I normally get. And so it like a little light bulb like clicked, and I was like, wait a minute. I have this really bad headache. I haven't gotten my period yet. Could be, maybe. So, of course, the anxiety in me is like, oh my God, I got to get a test now. So not only did I get one test, I got a 2-tester from Rite Aid, and I took those that evening. And there was a very, very faint indication that I was pregnant, and both were like a faint indication. But I was like, I don't know. So then I was like, oh, Dollar Tree. Everything's $1 there. Let me go there and like buy up all their pregnancy tests. So I went and they had one. I was like, really? That's all you have? But if I remember hearing a statistic that like pregnancy tests are like some of the most commonly stolen things from stores. So the Dollar Tree that I went to, it kind of made sense that maybe they only had one because they're always gone. I don't know. So I bought that one and I went home and it was like this weird test and it was like this big and you had to like collect your pee. I know this is like way disturbing for some of you, but you had to collect your pee and then like use an eyedropper and drop it into the little hole. And so that one came up that it was not pregnant. So I was like, okay. I had 2 that were very faint. I had one that says no, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed and I will go to the store and get more tomorrow. So that was 3 tests, right? So then I went to the store, we went to Target and I made a beeline for the pregnancy test. And I was like, oh my God, it's been so long since I've taken a pregnancy test. It's been 4 years or whatever. So I couldn't remember like which test was the best and everything. So I ended up getting 2 different packs of 2 tests each. And I was like, okay, this will work, right? So then, I got 2 digital tests and then I got 2 regular like plus minus tests. And so I got home, I did a digital test and it said not pregnant. So I was like, okay, so I've taken 4 tests at that point. 2 were very faint, yes, and 2 were no. So then I took the other like plus minus test and that was like a plus. It was indicating that I was pregnant and I'm like, oh my God, I still don't know what to do. So I was like, I will wait and I'll take the other 2 that I had left. I'll take them in the morning. Took them both in the morning and they both said positive. So I left it at that. And so, December 16th, December 17th, that is the day that we found out we were pregnant. And basically I was like 4 weeks at that point. So I basically took the test the very first time that you could take the test and your hormones would be able to tell you that yes, you are, or no, you're not. So we caught it at the very, 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 very beginning, which I think is why some of the tests in the beginning, because I also took them later on during the day and the longer the day wears on, the more your urine gets diluted from that hormone. So it's best to take your pregnancy tests early in the morning. So that's why the tests early in the morning were more reliable. So, my insurance is switching, so I didn't want to have to start care with a doctor on the previous insurance and then have to switch over to a new one at the start of the year. So I actually haven't officially had a doctor's lab pregnancy test. I haven't been seen yet, but everything else is pointing to yes. Still haven't gotten the period. And the changes in my body have started to take place. Although I will say, with this being my third child, there's definitely things that are different about this pregnancy than the other 2. So parts of us, we have 2 girls. Parts of us were like, is this a boy? Because Zoe and Zara's pregnancies were both very similar. And this one the symptoms and stuff have been very different. So who knows? I mean, if it's a girl, awesome, because we know how to raise 2 girls and we know how to raise girls. We have 2 already. So that's like easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? But if it's a boy, like awesome too, because then we get that dynamic of having both boys or having a boy and a girl. And just being able to enjoy that experience of raising a boy. Herschel gets to have a son and be able to like do all those like father-son activities that he didn't get to do with his dad. And I get to have a little mama's boy, like in the best sense. So I don't know, we just, obviously that's cliche, but we really do. I want to get through this as healthy as possible for me and the baby. So, Some things about my previous pregnancies. Okay, so I know I'm going to be all over the place, but Zoe and Zara were both considered high risk. So Zoe, I ended up developing preeclampsia with her, and my water broke with her 4 days before my actual due date with her, but I never ended up being able to I never dilated and never got to that point. And so I ended up having to go in for an emergency C-section. I was drugged on Pitocin and magnesium. My blood pressure was sky high. Her heart rate was dipping. It was not a good experience. But it ended up, we both ended up being good in the end. So that's really what matters, right? And then Zara, and I also had developed gestational diabetes with Zoe too. So they thought she was going to be like this big baby. I followed the diet so I did a good job following the diet, and I was able to keep that in check. And then with Zara, everything was pointing to me developing preeclampsia again. So I had to do like the 24-hour urine collection, which I can do a more detail of that later, but it was not fun. It's exactly what it sounds like. I had to collect my pee for 24 hours and then take it to the lab. I can only imagine how much fun those people in the lab have dealing with bodily fluids. But anyway, so signs were pointing that I was going to develop preeclampsia. So I ended up having to deliver her 2 weeks earlier than what we thought. So that was a C-section because the first one was a C-section, and yeah, they were going to, it was too risky for me to try to go for a VBAC, so for vaginal birth after cesarean section. So she was a scheduled C-section. I had gone into the doctor, and the next day I went in for my surgery. So those were both considered high-risk pregnancies. So this one I am hoping that I can prevent it. I'm making changes to my diet. I am getting more exercise. I'm also, I don't know if you've heard or if I've shared it in another video or not, but I'm also, the day that I got the migraine, so the 16th is also the day that I signed up to do a half marathon in June. That was in the morning, and then I got the migraine in the afternoon. And so the very same day that I signed up for a half marathon was the day that I found out I was pregnant. So I will be doing a half marathon when I'm 30 weeks pregnant. I am bound and determined to do it. We're doing it as a team with all of my colleagues at work. And so it's like a team effort. We're training together and like encouraging each other and stuff. So once I'm revealing at work, I don't think there's anybody from work that watches my channel. So once I reveal at work, then I'll let them know that like I fully intend on participating, but I'll be walking the whole way. I don't have any plans of running it or run walking. I'm just going to shoot to walk the whole way. This will be my second half marathon. I completed one back in 2008, and I did run walk that one. So this will be the second one that I complete, but the first one that I do pregnant. First and only one that I do pregnant. I don't intend on being pregnant again. So yeah, I'm hoping that some of the changes that I make, I'll be able to be healthier. But overall, so far, in the 7 weeks that I've been pregnant, my body has definitely treated this differently. So I have felt more of like the muscle aches and pains where the uterus is growing, so in my lower abdomen area. Also, since I've had 2 C-sections, I feel like it's probably, you know, some of the scar tissue and stuff is moving around and adjusting. All of those aches and pains I've sort of been feeling. Normally I have to pee a lot, and that really hasn't happened. My boobs haven't really been achy or sore or anything, but they have been getting fuller. So boobs are getting fuller, the muscle aches, the sciatica flare up. I think that might be attributed to this as well. So my body has just been acting differently with this one. So could be signs that it's a boy, or it could be signs that my body's just reacting differently because this is going to be my 3rd child. So I don't know, but I do have an appointment scheduled for January 25th, which is actually Zoe's birthday. I am hoping that I can get that appointment changed though, because by that point I'll be like 10 weeks into my pregnancy, so I'll almost be out of the first trimester, and I feel like I should be seen a little bit earlier, especially since the other 2 pregnancies were high risk. So I will certainly keep you updated on the journey and just the progress that I'm experiencing and how I'm feeling. But we look forward to sharing this journey with you, and we hope that you enjoy going along with our growing family and watching us grow and seeing the just the whole story unfold with the 3rd one. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like my video, and feel free to comment below, ask questions, whatever you want, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!